I worked double shifts to put Jason through grad school, and when he moved away I bought a 10-hour standing room-only train ticket just to surprise him. I showed up with a bouquet of lilies in my arms only to find him strolling arm in arm with a rich heiress, laughing like they'd known each other forever. I rushed up, heart splintering. "Why are you doing this to me?" He answered with a smirk. "We're done. You've got nothing, she can give me everything." The next morning I woke up as Riverdale's brand new billionaire heiress. Even while Jason was breaking up with me, I was still clutching that bouquet. The heiress in her scarlet bodycon mini gave me a once-over of pure disdain. "Jason, who is this?" Jason's eyes flicked, surprised. He guiltily slid his hand from her arm. "No one, just a friend." "Friend?" I echoed, dazed. I'd run straight from the station and looked every dusty mile of it. "You told me you were stuck at the office tonight," I said. "I wanted to surprise you, and instead you gift-wrap a bombshell for me." The heiress caught on and bristled. "Jason, you swore you were single. Is this your girlfriend?" Jason's cheeks flushed. "Girlfriend? I stopped liking her ages ago." He turned to me. "I don't want you, so stop humiliating yourself." His stare was ice-cold, desperate to shake me off, as though 8 years together were a receipt he could crumple and toss. A bolt of lightning couldn't have stunned me more. Yesterday he'd been texting about our 8th anniversary plans. He pivoted toward the girl with a gentle smile. "Cameron, it's chilly. Wait in the cafe, this'll only take a minute." Cameron wasn't stupid, she sensed history vibrating between us. She looked me over with Queen Bee auteur, gave a tinkling laugh, and cooed, "Sort it out quickly, then." Her heels clicked away across the pavement. A drizzle began to fall. I was underdressed, but the night wind felt colder inside my chest than on my skin. "A friend?" I scoffed and shoved the lilies against his chest. "Sure, Jason, only a friend who's loved you 8 years, only a friend who talked engagement 2 nights ago. I raced here to celebrate, and this is my welcome." His brows drew together in a dark line. He said nothing. 8 years of sunrise promises, 8 years of picturing myself walking down an aisle toward him, and now he watched my meltdown with the detachment of a stranger checking his watch. "Finished," he snapped. "Next time, call before you crash my weekend." The absurdity hit so hard I laughed through tears. "Call? So you could juggle schedules and keep lying?" Jason gave a cold chuckle, eyes glittering with contempt. "Sophie, when will you get it? You're an orphan, what could you possibly give me? Cameron is an heiress. Her dad owns a Fortune 500 company, mansions, yachts. She's got the body of a runway model. And you? What do you own besides overdue rent?" I stood there trembling. "Jason, I sacrificed 8 years. I dropped out so you could climb. I worked 2 jobs so you'd have tuition." He shrugged. "All voluntary as I remember. Congratulations, you helped a future grad school hotshot. Look around, plenty of women want me now. Face facts, you're broke, plain, a high school grad. You're nothing compared to her. She's rich, she wants me, and I'm done scraping by. We're not a match, move on." I opened my mouth, but no words came. Rain blurred my sight, yet for the first time I saw him clearly, every gentle mask torn off, the ugliness underneath laid bare. An umbrella popped open over Jason's head. Cameron held it, smiling sweetly. "So this is the clingy orphan ex you mentioned? She really isn't in your league." "Ex, was I?" I nodded, calmer now. "Correct, I'm the ex. But sweetheart, the guy next to you is a freelancing con artist. For years he's eaten my food, worn the clothes I bought, lived off my wages. Being a kept boy isn't cheap." I yanked a receipt pad from my purse, scribbled my Venmo and bank routing numbers, and slapped the slip against his chest. "Want a clean break? Refund every cent, down to the penny. You've got 3 days, or we meet in court." Jason's face reddened. "Sophie, I never figured you'd stoop this low." I turned to Cameron. "You like scraps? Congratulations, here's yours. If you're that crazy about him, feel free to pick up his tab." I spun on my heel and walked away. I'm an orphan. Someone left me on the steps of Riverdale when I was still swaddled. The director took me in, found donors to pay for my schooling. Without parents I was easy prey. Kids mocked my patched clothes, called me a feral brat. When I told the teacher, she shrugged. My uniform fee was overdue, my grades rock bottom because I skipped classes to collect cans for lunch money. The pack scented blood. They spilled ink across my textbooks, gouged slurs into my desktop, cornered me after the bell to shake down my pitiful allowance. One afternoon the circle closed again, towering shadows pinning me to the wall. Then a voice cracked behind them, angry, unafraid. "What the hell do you think you're doing?" My first glimpse of Jason, starched white shirt, eyes blazing, warning he'd call 911. The bullies slunk away. He bent toward me. "You okay?" Detergent fragrance drifted from his collar. He was honor roll perfection, and to me he glowed like daylight after prison. I started wandering the halls just to cross his path, inventing excuses to talk. He told me, "Sophie, you're beautiful," kissed my eyelids, laced his fingers through mine on the bleachers. We became inevitable. Everyone said a scholarship prince like Jason loving a charity case orphan was cosmic charity. Their taunts sharpened, but I didn't care, I had his hand. But Jason's family hit hard times right when college tuition came due, and just as he had once pulled me out of the fire, I stepped forward. "Jason," I said, "I'll quit school. My grades can't match yours anyway, and we can't pay for both of us." So I started juggling 3 part-time jobs to keep him enrolled. He would hug me like I was breakable and whisper sugary vows until I happily drowned in them and gave more and more. "Sophie," he promised, "the day I graduate and land a good job, I'll marry you." He was handsome. During the semesters we spent apart, half the girls on campus chased him, yet he swore I was the only one he would ever love, that we would last forever. Now I know it was all sugar-coated artillery, he just needed a fool to pave his future. I deleted every trace of Jason, holed up in a cheap motel, and forced myself to swallow the taste of betrayal. On my 3rd day in the city, my phone pinged with a deposit alert and a text from an unknown number. "Money's paid back. Stay away from Jason. You're beneath him now, he's my boyfriend." It had to be the trust fund princess. I almost laughed, another girl lulled by Jason's honeyed lines. Just as I felt like a lost goose with no compass, my screen lit up with a call from the director at Riverdale. "Sophie, a couple is here. They say they're your birth parents." The word parents felt foreign and heavy. In every grey hour of my childhood I had wished them into existence, and every time the wish dissolved into dust. Still, I rode the overnight bus to Riverdale's city. In front of me stood a well-dressed middle-aged pair, him in a tailored suit, her in a mink coat, makeup impeccable. The woman's eyes reddened the instant she saw me. She rushed forward and wrapped me in a hug. "My daughter, we found you at last." It felt unreal. The man removed his glasses and dabbed his eyes. "Sophie, we've searched for years." Her name was Eleanor. She studied me with a tenderness I had never known, gentle, aching. The man was Gregory. He gave me a wobbly smile. "We were barely out of our teens when we had you. We headed north looking for work, the train was packed, and in one careless moment traffickers snatched you. Your mother cried until her eyes nearly bled. We called the police. Months later the man was caught. He claimed the buyer backed out and he dumped you at the gate of some Riverdale, but he'd sold so many kids he couldn't remember which town. When we finally located the place, staff told us you'd been transferred. Years slipped away until this moment." Gregory's lashes were wet. "They named you Sophie, right? Now you have a surname, you're Casey." "Casey," I whispered. None of it felt solid. Eleanor laced her fingers through mine. "Sweetheart, you must have suffered. The director says you're brilliant and strong. We've built something while we looked for you, come home, let us take care of you." The director beamed and nodded, so I went. Gregory wrote Riverdale a check so large it could have rebuilt the wing, and only then did I realize that something was an empire. He chaired the city's biggest venture capital firm and owned more companies than I could count. When the car rolled into a gated enclave of mansions, I still couldn't breathe. Even A-list celebrities bought property here, a neighborhood I would never have dared dream about. The front door swung open and a graceful girl hurried down the stairs. Spotting me, her eyes sparkled. She closed the distance and caught my hands. "Mom, Dad, is this my sister?" Her bright face mirrored mine, fair, delicate, and I liked her instantly. Eleanor laughed and drew me closer. "This is your little sister Bella." She pestered us the whole drive home. I felt shy, but Bella was all motion. tugging me upstairs. Come on, let me show you your room. I decorated it myself. She pushed open the door. A crystal chandelier glittered overhead and a massive canopy bed waited like something from a fairy tale. Bella kept chattering, never releasing my hand. Here's the walk-in closet, everything current season. I guessed your size. A tailor's coming to fit you properly. Oh, and this bunny is my favorite. I want him to guard your dreams. Listening, my throat stung. Thank you, Bella. She pressed her lips together, eyes worried. Sis, you've had it rough, haven't you? I stayed quiet. She studied my palms and frowned. So many calluses. Doesn't matter, now I'll protect you. No more hardship, promise. She grinned, dimples flashing. Gregory announced a gala birthday banquet in a few days. Every mogul in town would be there, and he would introduce me as his found daughter. The following days I felt what a parent's love actually was. Bella trailed me like glitter, crawling into my bed at night, begging for stories of the life I'd lived. Blood dissolved awkwardness faster than logic. She squealed while helping me choose a couture gown. Bella, I'm nervous, I confessed at the thought of cameras and strangers. Relax, she said, squeezing my hands. Remember whose daughter you are. Half the press will be here to broadcast your comeback. The evening arrived. I slid into a custom scarlet gown, hair in glossy waves, face painted to flawlessness, so different from the girl who used to scrape grease off diner floors. The ballroom blazed, champagne flutes, crimson linen, tuxedos, and jewels. I had watched such scenes on late-night TV. I never imagined walking into one, let alone spotting Jason near the orchestra, Cameron draped on his arm. He glanced over, did a double take, and froze. Cameron, mid-sentence with some starlet, sensed the shift. Following his stare, she found me, brows arching in surprise. She recovered fast, wineglass in hand, lips curving, then click-clacked toward me, eyes slicing top to toe. With a delicate snort she drawled, "Oh? Working coat check tonight? Since when does serving staff dress like the guest of honor?" Beside her, Jason too stared at me in bewilderment, admiration even flickered in his eyes. I had always been crushed by life. This was the first time I had ever stepped into the spotlight so dazzlingly. I glanced at the pair in front of me and answered with a silent smile. Jason frowned. "Sophie, where did you borrow that couture gown? Are you working some side gig? Places like this require invitations, regular people can't just sneak in," Cameron said, sizing me up. "Don't tell me you rented a dress and crashed the party pretending to be a socialite. Or did you latch onto some trust fund prince?" The moment the words left her mouth, she unintentionally stabbed Jason next to her. After all, he was only here because he'd latched onto her. She didn't sneak in, and she doesn't need to latch onto anyone. A voice rang out. Bella glided over in a deep red cocktail dress, proud as a swan. She looked Cameron straight in the eye, took my hand, and smiled faintly. "Allow me to introduce my older sister, Casey. She is the sterling heiress we lost for years and have only just found." Cameron's hand holding the champagne flute quivered, and Jason beside her turned pale. "Tell me, Cameron, you bring some pretty boy to my house and then insult my sister. Does your family still want to do business?" Gone was the gentle, lively Bella I knew. Her expression was stern, instantly dominating Cameron. Cameron's face flushed green and white. "Bella, you." At that moment Gregory walked up. He surveyed the scene with cold eyes, then took my hand. For the first time I felt the warmth of a father's broad palm. He led me onto the dais and announced to the crowd, "Ladies and gentlemen, I have one more thing to say. My long-lost daughter Casey has returned to me these past few days." A collective gasp rippled below. Camera flashes blazed, stinging my eyes, but I didn't flinch. I faced what had always rightfully been mine. My gaze swept downward and landed on Jason, who stared up at the transformed me from a slight angle. "How could this?" he murmured, as though regretting his miscalculation. Cameron's fingers clenched her flute until they whitened. Noticing Jason's expression, she hissed, "Enjoying the view?" Jason finally snapped out of it, neatly hiding the unwillingness in his eyes. Throughout the banquet, financiers I had only ever seen in business pages showered me with praise, and for a moment I felt like the moon surrounded by stars, though I knew they were merely currying favor with father. Bella tugged me over to a cluster of debutantes and introduced me. Jason stayed silent, half his face lost in shadow as he nursed his drink. Cameron, burning with resentment, sneered, "Everyone, did you know? This Sophie barely finished high school. Before being found, she worked factory floors and kept chasing my boyfriend, who, sadly, can't stand her." Whispers broke out around us. Bella's brows knitted, ready to retort, but I patted her hand in reassurance and spoke. "Cameron, you keep mentioning my high school diploma, yet you're desperate to claim what this high school dropout discarded." Cameron's face contorted. She really couldn't take a joke. I continued, "You're a guest in my house, yet you insult the host. Is this the upbringing your family provided?" Among the onlookers, a socialite who had long disliked Cameron drawled, "Exactly, some people's fathers happen to ride a market wave, and suddenly they think they're royalty, throwing tantrums on someone else's turf." Cornered, Cameron snapped, "Sophie, don't assume being taken in by the Sterlings makes you special. You're still an orphan with no upbringing ingrained in your bones." The remark detonated like a bomb, slapping Gregory first and foremost. Bella lunged and seized Cameron's wrist as if to strike. "Who are you calling an orphaned brat?" Gregory strode over, aura thunderous, boring into Cameron. "Insolent child. Your father practically drank his stomach through to win our contract yesterday, and you think I've gone soft? Get out of my birthday gala this instant. Tell your father the deal is dead. Sterling Capital will never work with Zhao Holdings again. You branded my daughter an orphan. Are you cursing my entire family? Out. Now." Cameron had never faced such fire. Crimson with shame, she bolted for the exit in tears, her train clutched in her fists. Jason hadn't foreseen the meltdown. He gave me a long look, then chased after her. Gregory raised his voice, speaking to the press. "The Zhao family can't control their daughter. She shamed my child tonight, an insult to my face. From this day forward, Sterling Group and Zhao Investment Bank are finished." For the first time I felt the confidence of having a mountain at my back. I had walked alone, and now I had somewhere to retreat. Bella whispered, "Dad just publicly cut Cameron's family off. We're the top tier. Once we blacklist them, who'd risk partnering with Zhao? Doing business with them is declaring war on us." I was stunned. I hadn't realized the Sterlings wielded such power, nor that father would go this far for a daughter he'd only just met. Eleanor hired the finest private tutors for me and suggested that, if I wished, I could join Bella for a study abroad program. Studying abroad, something I'd never dared dream of. So I began learning languages, instruments, social graces. I studied my reflection and felt increasingly unfamiliar and thrilled. From a wretch who once fought for scraps of love while scrambling for food, I was turning into someone the world would call a lady. I never expected Jason to seek me out. He still had my old number. He texted, asking to meet. I agreed to the rendezvous at an upscale Western restaurant and, with a burner number, sent Cameron the same invitation. Rain drizzled that day, pattering against the tall windows while traffic streamed past. The restaurant lighting was dim. Jason couldn't help studying me, astonished. "Sophie, you've changed." I found it ironic. "What exactly do you want?" He signaled a waiter. A pianist sat down and let the notes drift through the room. Jason sank into memory. "Back when we crammed into that studio, you said if we ever had money you'd treat yourself to steak at a place like this. You used to stare through the windows, envious. Now it's real, and I'm the one bringing you here." I forced a cold smile. The hopes I'd once carried now tasted nothing but ironic. Let's just say I stepped in a pothole on the road of life. No need to bring it up again. Jason's brows snapped together. He caught my hand. "Sophie, you used to love me. You said you wanted to marry me, to stay together forever. Don't you remember?" I flung his hand off and wiped the spot he'd touched with a napkin. I was young and stupid, bad at reading people. "Jason, your girlfriend is Cameron. Yet you drag me here to say this doesn't feel inappropriate to you." His voice shook. "Sophie, I was wrong. I never loved her. I love you. I was a fool and I lost you. I regret it so much, please forgive me." Every syllable rotted the last warm memories in my heart. The boy who'd once shielded me from violence turned to ash, giving off a stink I couldn't ignore. "Oh, you regret it?" I looked past him to a silhouette hovering nearby. Could it be that now I'm doing well, You suddenly want to rekindle something? I seem to recall you saying Cameron had everything, which is exactly why you wanted to be with her. Jason snorted. That prima donna? I'm done babysitting her. Huge temper, tiny brain. At the last gala she insulted you and offended your father, utterly clueless. He pressed on, desperate. Sophie, I was blind. We had so many beautiful memories. Now I know, it's always been you. I've heard the Jow cash flow sprung a leak and the banks pounding on their door. Since Daddy Sterling pulled his backing, you've decided to crawl back to me, right? I sliced through his act without mercy. Jason. A furious voice cracked across the room. Jamie, Cameron, strode over in stilettos and slapped him hard. The sharp smack left scarlet fingerprints on his cheek. I sipped my wine, watching the floor show. Heads swiveled toward us. Cameron raised her hand again, but Jason seized her wrist. Have you lost your mind? He barked. Cameron's face burned scarlet. Pride incarnate, she shouted, I told you to meet my father. Instead you chase this woman? Two-timing me? Without me, do you think you'd still be living this life? Jason glanced at the circling vultures, fists clenched. Spare me, Cameron. Your tantrums are old, and your family's crown is slipping. While your dad scrambles for liquidity, you still play queen. Cameron stared, tears sparking. The scene felt familiar, only now she wore the target I once had. She nodded, hatred blazing, and when her gaze swung to me it felt laced with poison. Just wait, she hissed, then spun away. I stood, ice cool. Show's over. Goodbye. Freshly humiliated, Jason's face was grey. Sophie, I walked off without a backward glance, his stare burning between my shoulder blades. The Jow balance sheet bled red ink. When they begged my father for help, the door slammed shut. Reading the wind, Jason immediately dumped Cameron. I was heading out when I found her waiting, eyes hollow, makeup no longer flawless. Sophie, I was awful before, she murmured, gaze lowered. I hope you can forgive me. It's in the past, I said flatly and stepped past her into the car. I didn't notice the eerie glint in her eyes behind me. Halfway to town the engine coughed and died. The road was deserted. Puzzled, I climbed out to check under the hood while Bella rang. Car trouble, I said. I'm at. Arms clamped around me from behind, and a chloroform rag smashed against my nose and mouth. I thrashed, but the fumes dragged me under. Before I blacked out I hit the button on my watch, the one with the hidden tracker. Sophie. Sophie. Bella's frantic voice faded with the light. When I came to, rough rope bit my wrists and ankles. Above me, the rusted ceiling of an abandoned factory. Dim light. Curses nearby. Cameron, you psycho. You're insane. Jason, also trussed up, lay beside me. Cameron sat on a metal chair, flanked by hulking men in black gripping steel poles. She regarded us with arctic calm. A little clearer now, I listened to Jason's tirade until she strode over and slapped him silent. Insane? I passed that line ages ago. Her eyes bulged, polished veneer split wide. You dare dump me for that little tramp? Cameron, don't get tossed aside. She jabbed a finger at me. And you. Your family crushed mine. You might wear a crown now, Sophie, but you're no queen. Today I vent every ounce of rage on you both. I stayed silent, fingers groping for the watch face behind my back. Bella should have the GPS ping by now. Beat him, Cameron ordered, lips curling. Not to death, make it last. She turned to me. After that, have your fun with her. The brutes laughed, their stares crawling over me like oil. My heart sank, panic nipped my edges. Cameron, this is felony territory, I said, voice steady. If we disappear, you go down with us. She sneered. Who'll find you here? You've humiliated me, Jason. Sophie. You'll pay. Jason spat. Lunatic. Touch me and see. You think I ever loved you? I loved your bank balance. Without it, you're just a brat no man wants. Cameron's knuckles whitened. Hit him. The thugs closed in. Poles rose and fell. Jason's screams knifed the air as they hammered him like butcher meat. The sound rattled my bones, color drained from my face. Cameron gripped my chin, nails digging in. Tell me, Sophie, Which man will want you after you've been passed around? The chill in her eyes gleamed at the coming spectacle. My skin went paper white. Cameron, there's no need to hate me. I never hurt you. The only time Jason called me after you broke up was so you'd finally see what he is. Cameron flung me off. So what? Quit acting so innocent. Just because I insulted you a couple of times, your daddy crushed my family, so live with the fallout. Beside us the punches kept landing, the sight sickening, the metallic stink of blood floating in the air. Jason's voice grew fainter, he was half dead. Cameron signaled a halt. Enough, don't beat him to death on my account. The men turned their eyes on me. One of them leered and reached for my face. I jerked away. The dodge enraged him, he clamped my cheeks in a vice-like grip. I clamped back hard, sinking my teeth into the meat of his hand. Blood spurted, he howled, yanked free, and slammed a savage slap across my face. Stars exploded behind my eyes. I tasted my own blood beading at the corner of my mouth as he snarled, "Hold the bitch down, I'm going first." Hands ripped at my clothes, fabric tore with a vicious rip. I struggled, but they pinned me flat, despair flooding every nerve. I bit down on my tongue, better dead than disgraced. Suddenly footsteps pounded toward us. Cops. Move, now. Cameron's face blanched. Get those two into the car. They heaved me into the back seat. Jason landed beside me, barely breathing, his features a pulped mask. Cameron floored the accelerator, panic vibrating through the wheel. Wind shrieked past the windows as the scenery blurred. In the mirror, sirens wailed. "Turn back while you still can," I muttered. While I spoke, I was quietly sawing the rope binding my wrists against a jagged piece of metal bolted to the floor. The road was pointing straight toward the ocean, an icy certainty crawled up my spine. Cameron was losing it. Was she planning to drive us all into the sea? The sirens multiplied behind us. She stamped on the gas. The jolt hurled me to the floorboards, my forehead cracking against the doorframe, blood trickling into my lashes. The impact jolted Jason half-conscious. "Cameron, you, psycho." He rasped. Eyes glued to the windshield, she twisted the wheel harder, her face contorted. In a cracked whisper she asked, "Jason, did you ever love me for real?" Half-drugged with pain, he rolled his gaze toward me, ignoring her. Through the blood mask I caught the ghost of a grin. "Sophie, sorry, it was me, greed, vanity. Back at school we were everything. I did love you." My heart lurched. Stop. Forgotten memories surged, and for a dizzy instant the monster I'd buried merged with the boy who once saved me. Cameron shrieked, unhinged. "Liar. You swore I was the only one. Liar, haha, you filthy liar." The gale howled. Ahead, the road ended at the cliff. I frantically ripped the last fibers of rope apart. Headlights and sirens closed in. My fingers found the door handle. Jason caught the motion, his swollen hand brushing my shoulder. I braced for him to stop me, but he whispered, "I'm the villain. If there's a next life, I'll pay you then." The car rocketed onto the bluff. Cameron screamed, "Die with me." At the final heartbeat I yanked the door. Jason shoved with what strength he had left. The world somersaulted. Impact with the ground knocked the breath from my lungs. Over the cliff the sedan sailed, engine screaming, then vanished into the black water. Silence. Sirens closed around me. I stared at the empty horizon until Bella's and my parents' faces swam above me, doctors lifting me onto a stretcher. The world flickered out. Asterisk. 3 days later I woke in a hospital bed, the television murmuring, "A sedan found at sea, Zhao heiress wanted for kidnapping." A 20-something male recovered with her, both unrecognizable. 2 months after, when I could walk without vertigo, the family dispatched me to a study abroad program in Lyon. Sunlight and distance, they said, would finish the healing. I pedaled a second-hand bike along a cobblestone lane toward my language class. At the intersection another cyclist whipped around the corner, collision imminent. "Sorry, my apology died." He wore a grey hoodie, warm brown eyes, Jason's face, unscarred, gentle. "Jason," I blurted, heart vaulting into my throat. He steadied my handlebars, studying me. "You know my brother?" I gaped. Jason had never mentioned a twin. "I'm Andrew," he said, brushing an auburn fringe from his eyes. I just finished settling what was left of Jason. Their parents had split when the boys were small. Andrew left for France with their mother, Jason stayed in Riverdale with their father. Contact had been sporadic at best. Andrew tilted his head. Haven't we met somewhere before? I managed a shaky laugh. Impossible. I grew up stateside. He snapped his fingers, a slow smile dawning. Now I remember. I sneaked back for Jason's 16th birthday. You were getting hassled behind the gym, some older kids. I stepped in. The memory hit like sunlight through stained glass, so the stranger that day hadn't been Jason at all. My tangled story with Jason had begun with a case of mistaken identity, and now, half a world away, fate corrected the error. We said goodbye at the corner. The old tale ended, the new one began. Thank you for listening. On a scale from 1 to 10, how would you rate this story? If it moved you, like and share. Tell us your thoughts below, and don't forget to subscribe, more stories are on the way. See you next time.